Hey everyone, and welcome to a pretty cool edition of Kitten's Corner. I'm going to actually attempt to paint a picture live from nothing to something. Uh, it's kind of a cool thing to do because as an artist, you should be able to expand your vocabulary, which means working with other art forms, etc., etc. I know I can't do sculpting because I like to say my brain isn't coordinated enough, but putting colors on canvas is not that hard of a jump from painting the dolls because it's the same concepts. You get your colors in your mind and then you put it onto the canvas. What was my one kind of hard thing was getting the colors to see the picture. That was kind of my hard thing. So, but what I find works for me, and it may not work for you, it works for me though, is I get the picture in my head first, and sometimes I look at other people's work and I see what they've done, and then I get that picture in my head, and then I go from there. What I have learned is it's easier for me rather to work from the top to the bottom, and to allow the paint at the top to be drying while you're working on the bottom part. The real kicker to it is learning how what medium you like to work with. To be honest, my favorite medium to work with as far as painting is concerned is oils, but I can work acrylic too. This is acrylic paint, by the way, and unlike paper, this is canvas. Like, it's really a cloth canvas and everything. So you're seeing like the real deal. Like, this is like some Ross stuff going on here. The reason I bring his name up is because when I was 6, 7 years old, that was my guy. Like, that was what I did on a Saturday, was watch Bob Ross take a blank canvas like this and turn it into something. So I'm gonna attempt that today. Da, 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 da. We'll see how this goes. I'm also going to work on editing. So when it started speeding up, that was me realizing that the time was going by, and I don't really like to make my videos too long. But if I can build a doll in an hour, I should be able to get a picture painted. So these are my colors that I'm going to use, like base, what I would call like my base colors, and I can always add more. I have my paint sitting right there. So we work from with oils. Acrylic does something kind of totally different from oils. Where acrylic is one, it doesn't blend very well on the canvas, but it does blend well like on this. I use just regular paper plates. Well, not paper so much as plastic disposable plates, because they're disposable. One, you can get a whole pack of them for like $3, and cleanup becomes a real breeze because all you literally have to do is toss it in the trash. So I've seen people do the little dot method. I think that's a little bit extra, and I think it's kind of show offy as well, because if you're like me, I like to see my colors go on my canvas, and I like to have control over it. And if you don't have that control, then doing the little dot methods don't work. And that's where they put blue, 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 white, blue, 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 white, etc., etc. So what I do is I take my brush. I do not thin my colors down. I know that some artists do. I don't thin the color down because I happen to like when it goes on thick, because it spreads a little better, especially when working with a cloth canvas, and this is a cloth canvas. So basically, you're letting nature take over your picture, adding your whites, adding your different colors of shades of blue, and that's all I'm doing. I'm basically dipping it into the different color and swiping. And like I said, what we're gonna do with this color is we're gonna take it all the way down. And people say, well, why paint with white? And that was one of my questions too. So, like, why use the white paints? Well, what happens is, if you just leave the canvas white, it actually kind of fades away, and it lends to the color that's there. So you end up with a canvas that looks either blank, or it looks like it's fading, or it looks like it's turning more of the blue or whatever color that you're actually using. So what I do is, while it's nice and wet, I go ahead and fold in my whites. Of course, that's gonna be our illusion of our clouds, etc., etc. So, and then, because I'm going to make a water scene at the bottom, I'm going to do a mountain slash water scene. So what we need to do is, we need the blues to continue all the way down. So we're literally going to take this canvas over, and we're going to take our blue all the way down to the bottom, all the way down. So therefore, we're not having to recreate the blues, the hues of blue that we have going on the canvas. I'm kind of running out of the colors I want, so I'm going to add more. And for this particular painting, I'm using a light blue. I'm using a teal, dark teal. I want the dark teal to be kind of towards the bottom, because I want it to be the dominant color as far as the water is concerned. So I want to mix those two. And of course, my white. And you're going to use a lot of white. So if you ever want to take this up, go ahead and prepare yourself to invest in large tubes of white paint to get the colors that you want. We go back on canvas. Go back on canvas. Hope everyone's having a great day. This is an impromptu thing, so if I fail, I fail on cam. I am recording it, not live, but that's my only cushion. But we are going to do this as live as we can. Hopefully, I'm on my phone, so hopefully no phone calls, etc., etc. So what we want to do at the bottom is, we want to make sure that we're making the swirl pattern a little more dominant, and making the blues a little more dominant. Now, if you'll notice that I'm trying to saturate the bottom with this blue. We're going to come back with it, but my goal is to get it like a dominant blue, but we want it to kind of match our sky, because we want to make the illusion of, and I'll put it back down in just a second so you can see, we want to give it the illusion of that it's reflecting the sky itself. And boom. And painting is dirty work, guys. If you're not ready to get dirty, don't paint because you're going to get dirty. So what has happened, we have allowed our sky to do its thing. It's literally starting to dry. You can rest assured that it's starting to dry. But we want to go ahead and get our colors, get out what I call the filler colors. But we don't have to worry too much about filler colors, because we are definitely going to come back with a different shade of coloring here. Now, the next thing we do is get our paintbrush nice and clean. We can get rid of our blue plate, because we don't really, well, actually we could just leave the blue plate. We're going to add a dark blue. I haven't opened it, so I have to literally open it on cam. We're using a darker blue, and the darker blue is going to be our next shade of our mountains. And we're going to also use a little bit of black, because we're going to say these mountains are in the background, not the foreground. So you don't want it to, we don't need it to be a distinct mountain hill. We just need it to have the illusion of a mountain. So we start with our black, and the same concept. If you notice, I'll put it here so you kind of see. So we're going to take a little bit of black, and because art is subjective, it's not a definite thing. Wherever you want your mountains to start, that is where you start it. Wherever you want them to be in your picture, that's kind of where they're gonna be. And we literally kind of pull down, and it's gonna look wrong. And this is what happens when you paint live. But don't worry, that's just gonna now be our mountain. So that's the kind of cool thing about painting. Also, is that it's like I said, it's subjective, not objective. You don't have to. It doesn't have to successfully land where you want it. We're gonna put a nice mountain here, a little mountain range here, And we're just letting the mountains kind of grow. I'll put one here, and we're going to have one fade off. That was way too sharp of a turn. So we're going to come back like that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take our small brush, put it in the water, take our big brush again, and we are going to blend in our next shade of this blue and blend it in with our black and pull down. All we're going to do is literally pull down, pull down, pull down, pull down, pull down, pull down. Because the mountains are going to look like they're in the background. Pull down, pull down, pull down. Pull down, pull down. We're going to shade it in with this mountain. And we're going to allow this mountain, because these are background mountains, to pull down so they look like they're in the background. They're in the background. And it gives us a mountainous shade. And we're going to pull, 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 pull. Pull the colors, pull the black. You basically kind of want to go over the black so that your mountain doesn't look drawn in. And that's kind of like the key to painting. You want to give it the illusion that it's not drawn in, that it's literally just the mountain kind of just occurred. And using the blue over it, and the blue gives it a hue of a mountain range. Da, 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 and then you have your mountain range. Da, da, da. That's looking kind of really good. Okay, now what we're going to do is what I like to call to kind of keep pulling it down. Don't forget, we're going to add a watery looking thing. It's cool. All the colors that are folding in, let them fold in. Now we're going to take our greens, our green, and we're going to literally create another mountain range on front of the mountain range that we have. So we're going to swipe off our brush to get some of the colors out of it so that our green now becomes the dominant color. And if we've done it right, it should make a mountain hill right in front of your bigger mountain tops. But they're going to have the illusion of being closer, and it looks like they're falling over into the water. You also can add a mountain like here, and what you do also is a push up thing so that it looks like it is like trees or what have you, and we will go back and put some trees on there. So now you have a mountainy range. We're going to put a little mountain going here, just like a little range or something, and then pull it down here. So we got our mountain, and as you can see, we got stuff going on at the bottom, and that's exactly what you want to have happen. So I hope everyone's surviving the Corvette thing. If you don't like to paint, or painting's not really your thing, don't worry about it. It's not everybody's thing, and it's not really for everybody. So what we're doing now is I'm actually making it turn into a kind of a tree looking thing, because the vision is yours. I'm liking it. So we're going to turn these into trees. So we've got our mountain, we've got our trees growing, and we're going to let our trees, we're going to put everywhere it looks kind of bland, I think we're going to turn into trees. So now we got our trees going. Bop, 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 bop. And what you want to do now is, with a thinner coat of the same paint, and I do mean thin, is have them coming into your water. Bop, bop, bop. So it looks like they're in the water, like shadows of the trees in the water. Da da da. This is gonna make sense when I finish off the thing. Finish off the painting off the water thing. So basically what you're doing is you're putting a reflection down here. And now, and like I said, some of the stuff you can't come back to, so it's good to go on ahead and get it done. Get it kind of where you want it, basically. So we turned it from a mountain range, and now we have our trees in the front. I know it's looking crazy, but we are literally on track. So we're going to rinse our little brush off again. And we are going to come back to black, our black and our green, and we're going to make a greenish grayish looking thing. Greenish gray, that's like the best I can describe it. It's just the blue, the green, and everything, and we're going to come across the bottom and literally paint that, pull it down. So what you're doing now is making your reflections, just a little reflection into the water. You can make it wavy if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. But you need it to look like it's actually in the water, which is the point of pulling blue into it. So you need to make sure that there's blue down there so that it looks like it's waving in your water. So we get a little more blue, a little more blue. We want it to make it look like it's in the water and not something we got off the land. So now you're reinforcing your blue. Reinforce the blue of always. And always you can add more color. Always. Don't forget. I mean, more color, more details, or what have you. But the canvas is your canvas, so you can create whatever magic you want to create. So all you want to do is wave it out so it looks like the water and the land are not the same. So we're just separating it out and making it water like that. It's like thusly, and then we can pull our colors this way. So now they're starting to, as you can see, there's starting to look like they're reflections in your water. Now you got your mountainside going, and we pull it that way, and it looks like the picture you just created under there. And also, because you do have that darker blue, so you want to do the same concept. There's a mountain there, so you need your mountain coming here. Just a reflection of it. You don't need a whole mountain going on. Anything you have a mountain up there, it needs to be in the water as well. In the water as well. So you need to kind of like, it's kind of, this is where your imagination is going to take over. So there, now our mountains are actually shining in the water. Now we're going to come back and with a straight blue and white. Blue and white, we need to get some more white. Blue and white going. Get some white on this canvas because you need to make it look like it's in the water. So now we're going to get a clean brush. And I use my fan, what they call a fan brush. This is a fan brush, guys, because it looks like a fan. Definitely why it's called a fan brush. And all you really want to do is reinforce your water with it. So you're going to mix your whites and your blues and let them land however they may, preferably with more white than blue. And we're literally are going to do what I call waves of blue, and we'll make this water. We'll make our water do its little thing. Now what we're going to do eventually is we're going to come back and do a do some to mark that line off a little better. But I need to let my colors dry. This is where you need to go on ahead and let your colors do what it's going to do so that it doesn't mess your picture up. But all we're doing is making it look like a reflection of water. Just a little reflection of water in our picture. We want our mountains to be there. We want our mountains in the water because they're looking at the grandeur of the hillside. So on that. Da-da-da. Here we go, guys. We got our mountains in the water. We got our water flowing. We want it to look like it's floating in the water. We also now we need to get a coastline going. So what I like to do is take that same black and just dot your coastline with your fan brush. And all you're doing with your fan brush is reinforcing with the little black and the little blue that there's a coastline there. So we're just going to take it all the way across all the way across. Take your time, no hurry, because black, of course, is such a dominant color. You want to make sure you're making a line and not making it look kind of smeared, but you do kind of want it to make it blend. So it looks like a little brush on the side of the mountain, little side brush going on. Now, guys, we get to do Bob Ross's infamous favorite part of painting, doing the trees. So we're gonna make it look like there's some trees going on. So what we're gonna do, same concept. We're going to get our nice brown going, and we're going to get uh, another brush, clean brush. Of course, you want always need to make sure you're starting with a clean brush when you're doing a different color, so that you're not blending in colors that are already there. And all you want to do, some people would prefer black. I like brown because it makes the picture a little brighter. It doesn't make it look like you're adding trees to you're adding, like, you're not forcing it. It doesn't look like you're forcing it. So we need to make sure that we're making lines. So try to make it as thin as possible, and get some practice in, get some practice wipes in before you go in, because one, we have already established certain patterns. So we don't want to make the tree look forced. We don't need the branches to like stand out. You know that we're gonna come back again also as well and add more leaves to it. So we're gonna put a tree here. You can make it fade in and out, because of course if it was a real forest, you wouldn't see a stick. You'd see like the branches around it. And just like Bob Ross would say, we're gonna put a happy tree here, and we're going to reinforce the fact that it's a forest and not a freaking like stack of trees on the side of the thing. So you need to make sure that your tree fades behind some branches, fade behind the leaves, and wherever you see a tree and there's no mistakes, you can always, because we're gonna come back with the green, which I'll show you in a second. So we're gonna put a tree here, and again, it'll make sense when we come back with our branches. Maybe one here. You're not trying to make it look like it's a heavy forest or anything. You're just trying to enforce that there is a forest scene. Then we're going to come back with the same color. Grab our fan brush again. This is where my fan brush is really, I'm happy to use it. So, because it is life, because it will do the illusions that you need it to do. And what we're going to do, I'm going to see if I can't get it on camera. We'll get that brush out of the way. As you can see, I'm still using the same plate. It's a dangerous game I play. So we're going to pull that brown into this green. And you see the lines that it's making? Let me see. Yeah, you see the lines that it's making? That's going to be our baby trees. So what we're going to do, baby trees are going to be closer, more distinct. So we're going to go on our canvas, and we're going to draw some lines, just going straight down, straight down, straight down. And like I said, you don't have to too much worry about it. I wish I had got them a little more up and down, but that's fine. You don't have to overcrowd your forest with them, but you do need to, because we're about to come back and put some other colorations in. But we're trying to reinforce that, hey, this is a whole forest full of trees. So here we go. We're going to go straight down. And we've got some spots that are kind of more dominant than others. Now you can also use your same color palette and catch your bottom. Just little waves of brown. It becomes the shoreline, moreover. And what happens is your mind sees it as a shoreline, like a little place, a rocky shoreline you didn't even mean to make. So we're going to make our little rocky shoreline with the same brown. and allow the blue and the green and everything to do what it does. And so now we have our browns and our greens. And how does this apply to reborning? I know that's kind of like, all right, this is not a reborn video, but how does it apply? Because the same concept that you use with this coloration is the same concept that you use when you're reborn. You see the freckles, you see the 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 birthmarks, you see all that in your head way before it gets on canvas. Now we're going to take the same brown and we're going to line it up with some blue. I know that's like wild, so we're literally going to make the illusion of waves of reflections of brown in the water. So you need to make sure that, kind of like test it, but make sure that you got a hint of brown streaking through this blue so that when you pull it down, we're going to pull it down. Oh, I don't think you can see it, so I'm going to hold it up and try to pull it down where you can see it. So that we're pulling it down. It don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. You don't have a lot of, and you can kind of make it wavy as well because it is in the water, but you want to make it look like it's reflecting in the water. So that's what we're doing. We're going to make it reflect in the water. And then we want to get really fancy with it, and we're going to make some the like distinct brown lines. As soon as I get the paintbrush, and you can't see it, but I have one paintbrush in my mouth and the other one on the canvas. And we're going to use the same concept. We're going to clean our brush good, and we're going to take the brownish blue color, and everywhere you have a long tree, you're going to make a wave. Everywhere there's a, because you're making reflections, and then of course we're going to come back and reinforce it with the with the green in the leaves, but we got to put the leaves on the tree first. Just everywhere you have a brown tree, you just want to make it reflection in our water, and we will come back and clean up our water. I like to call it clean up, but we will come back and make it clean. Now, what you're noticing is that the colors are naturally doing what they're going to do in the water, and that's exactly what you need it to do. Then, of course, I come back with my blue again, and I pounce lightly over my reflections to kind of make them in the water, in the waves. Sometimes go around them, and you can pull it down as far as you want it to go. It's your picture, you know. So you're pulling. You don't want the blue. You don't want the brown to show. So we got to get all of that fixed real quick, real quick. It's, even though, like I said, it's subjective. So yeah, so now we're going to clean our brush again. We're going to pull out our green again. I actually kind of wish they had a darker green, but they don't. But what's going on, as you probably noticed in the sky, is getting all nice and blue and getting its different personalities on. We're going to come back and put a few clouds up there. Or you don't have to. It's up to you. But whatever's going on in the ocean and the water part needs to be going on in the sky part, and vice versa. So I'm going to lift it so you can kind of see what's going on a little bit better. So that's kind of cool. And art is messy. So my favorite thing to do, of course, is the dolls. This is a close second. I absolutely love seeing pictures come alive. And I'm trying to really clean out my fan brush because I need it not to show up with a different color. Alright, so we got our fan brush going. We're gonna put it in our green, and we're literally, what I do, and everybody's gonna be different, is I swipe the tips of it in the green. Because all I'm trying to do now is create trees, create heavier sets of leaves on my trees. I want to bring them to kind of like the illusion of a three-dimensional. And all it does is going to do what it's going to do. So all I have to do is going to create the illusion with or without me. So, and all you're doing is creating the illusion in front of the tree that now it has leaves, etc., etc. So that's all we're doing. And it gives it so it looks more like a forest and less like sticks without leaves on it. So and then it's poked out. The pushing upward gives it the illusion of like its branches going in different directions. I'm probably gonna get a little more green on my paint thing because I'm not gonna have enough to take it across the way I want to. You also have where the blue is predominantly sticking out. I don't know if you can see it that well, but it gives it the illusion that you can see through the trees, which is also great. A great illusion, and it gives it more depth. It makes it look like you actually can see through the trees and there's trees there and etc etc. So all you want to do again, keep it up. And what you do, what I tell people is you stop when it's where you want it to be. And like I do with my dolls, I don't stop working on them until it's something I want. If I don't want it, why in the world would I sell it? So that's the same concept I have with my paintings. If it's not something I lean back and go, okay, that's really good, then no, we're not done with the painting isn't done. So we do that. We come across with our forest, and now our forest has definition to it. And now, we get to do the same thing going down. I'm gonna give this a little more definition to it. I feel like I see some trees that are not lining up with what I want. So we're going to, and then it doesn't matter how far you take your trees or what have you. You just want them to do what you want them to do. Now, remember, whatever you do online needs to happen by sea. So, where we've taken our brown, we're going to take our green and blend it in with our blue. And blend it in with our blue. And it makes, and we got a little bit of white going on. And we're going to put some trees in the ocean, in the water. Because, yeah, they're in the water. They're going to have leaves in the water the same way they're going to have in the land, on the land. Now we got to literally, after we get done doing this part, we're going to literally come back with our blues that we began with, and we're literally going to cover up our water with our blue. Okay, so that looks good. That looks good. Because what you want is the illusion. So at the end of the day, you want the illusion that the tree is growing up top, but they are also growing, like the reflection of them is in the water. So we use the colors that we have. This dominant color, the blue is the dominant color in the water, of course. And now we do the smear thing again, smear campaign, because you need the green to look. It's got to look like a reflection. So you need your green, and you need to pull it down, pull it down, pull it down, pull it down, and it's automatically gonna pull the brown down. It's automatically gonna pull your 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 greens down. It's gonna do exactly what you need it to do. And also the green down below is gonna give it the illusion of a more distinct shoreline. So it's win-win when you do it right. Take your time, do it right. Always take your time, guys. Never rush. It's no hurry. It's no race. So even though I kind of like unconsciously gave myself a timeline, I'm not really worried about if I go over it a little bit. So now we got beautiful mountains, we got beautiful trees, and we don't have the signature tree that's bigger than the mountain, but I'm cool with that. But now we're gonna come back and we're going to reinforce our clouds and reinforce our lower water scene. So we are going to come back with our we're going to use our fan brush, but we're going to come back with the same colors we started with. And what we're going to attempt to achieve is the illusion that we are that we're in the water. That this what's water and what's water and what's land. I mean, like sky. So we're gonna make our water first, because our water is filled with different colors. And like I said, kind of clean your brush completely. Don't let it you don't want to come to the canvas with coloring that you don't want. So what I like to do is I like to do the same concept that I did with the trees, and I fan off just the white though, just the white on the tips of the brush, and I do what's called an upward. I honestly don't know what it's called, but I say it's an upward motion, and I'm making waves in the water, and then I'm going to pull down because they're waves to make it look like there's like a ripples a little bit. You're not you don't need like heavy ripples. You just need them to be distinct. You need them to like little crests, and you put the crest down here. And if you do it right, if the illusion is pulled off correctly, you don't lose your reflection illusion, and your water looks really pretty. Then I come back with my blue, my this is the light blue, and I literally start at the bottom because you want to give your top a chance to dry. You literally want to give your top your the paint that's there a chance to really kind of dry without losing what you got going. So you're brushing sideways, and the sideways motion is making the illusion of the waves. Da da da. Without losing you want it to be in the water. You kind of want them to see it and not see it. So you don't want to lose your mountain and your reflections and stuff, but you do want to make sure that they know that they're looking in water and not looking at the land, just an extension of the land. So you come back and you take your time, of course, always taking your time, always playing against what's already there. And if you're lucky, your picture's dry enough where it does exactly what it needs to do. And you go sideways because waves don't go up and down, not in our happy little world. We start mixing our blues and whites together, and we just brush them on. Brush, brush, brush. Okay, we got a little too much white going on there. And irony is, we got a little too much blue going on over here and a little too much white going on over there. So we're going to do a trade off, and we'll put some more white over here. And we just keep it till we make our waves. The saying is fake it till you make it. Keep adding our blue into here until we get our waves exactly where we want them. Beautifulness. And it's even like I just kind of dipped into a little bit of the brown, but that's fine because we're going to come back and we're going to reinforce this until it's where we want it. You don't want to, basically, you're adding the blue and then taking it back off. You're adding the blue, whites and you're taking it back off, but not all the way. So you have sections of blue, sections of white. Now you still have your mountain. You still have your, when it dries, you see your mountain kind of popping out. And that's wonderful. So now, because we do not want to reinforce any other color in our sky, of course, we are going to change our palette and kind of reinforce our skyline. Because what you can do is we're going to bury those clouds, bury the top of the mountains in the clouds, which would be really pretty as well. So we got our blue, white, a new canvas, white, and a new canvas. And we are to going to come back and make our skyline more reinforced. which is fine. You can repaint your sky as many times as you want. You can, it's your picture until it's the world you want. You're perfectly free to paint it any way you want to. So the only thing we're doing is giving it the illusion of the clouds coming over the sky without taking away from the fact that we have mountains up there. You don't want to take away from your picture. The same concept, the wind would blow the skyline sideways, and so our picture needs to be sideways. And we're going to add a little more paint. This is the reason why I say the dot method is cute, but it doesn't really work as far as getting what you need to have done, because you've put all those dots and you've this paint is literally drying as you're working. So you're literally now, if I was doing the oil method, this would be have to be done in sections because oil doesn't dry quickly. So you will be fighting your picture. You will be sitting up here trying to make your picture do something it's not wanting to do. So you can't you the oil method, you could not do this because all your colors would be running into itself, running into themselves, and it would be a kind of a disaster. Uh, Dip that in some green from somewhere. Even that's the kind of what I mean when I say disaster, because now we have a whole thing of green in there from where I hit the where I hit that where it's not dry yet. And that's the chance you take when you do a picture in one setting. That's why people sometimes don't do pictures in one settings. If you have distinct things you're trying to achieve, you're not going to do it in one setting. You're going to do it in multiple settings, and you're going to let the background dry, etc., etc. So when you don't let the background dry, that's what happens, which is fine if the sky has a hint of green. It's your world anyway, and unless you're planning on turning it into an art critic, nobody's really going to care. So what we're going, not nobody to care, but nobody's really going to sit there and go, hey, that looks a little sus. So what we're going to do is reinforce our mountain. Now, this lighter, darker shade of blue, because I don't like how it lost itself. So basically come back and same concept, pull it down. Now what we're not doing this time is we're not adding the black. We're going to allow the black to bleed through, which it will do anyway. So, and you do not want your mountain to have like little whitish streaks, which these mountains do, because we did add white and we did kind of blend it in with the sky. So just this is kind of like what I call touch up painting, touching up, because you want it to be distinct. So you want to have like different shades going on, and you don't want uh, it to look faded. So we're going to come back and we're actually going to finish that sky in that spot. That looks we don't. It's a difference between it looking like clouds passing through and it looking like you just didn't paint there. So we're definitely gonna come back and catch these things. This is what I call we are in the touch up phase. Fan brush is our life for this because you're gonna get the color you want. You're gonna get a more truer looking picture. So we're gonna come back with our light blue again. Definitely gonna be needing more whites when it's all said and done. For our next picture rather. So we're gonna take our we should take our little brush, but I'm not going to. I'm bombing, and we're going to come through the sky, and we want shades of blue, just shades of blue. If it has the illusion that it's another mountain back there, so be it. You do want it to not look like the picture has no paint in some spots. So we can come back, and this is where it's like again, artists' kind of like interpretation of the picture. And again, you look at it, and then you go, is it done? kind of want to do some more waves in my ocean, my water. I feel like my white kind of got out of hand in places. So I'm just doing some swirls. I also want to reinforce my mountains in the water, but I need to get my the kind of back off on white. And now we will come back and do the mountain. If I can get it dark enough, we are going to add the teal again. Yeah, we're gonna add the teal again, blend it in with the blue, and see if we can't put our peaks back in our water. So we'll take our blue, wipe it completely off, get our teals, and reinforce where we said our mountain peaks were. Just a little hint. Fold them towards the land, and you see how that illusion just kind of did what it needed to do. We come back with our tail again, where our other mountain is, and make our peaks again, and pull it towards the land. Like, we're not repainting the mountains, we just want the peaks, and you want it to fade towards the land. So you're kind of doing the opposite, like you're painting upside down, basically. We're just reinforcing what we've already made, we've already done. We just want to make sure that it's noticeable, that the peaks are noticeable, and it being sparse actually makes it good, make the illusion more realistic. So you want just hints of that teal down there, hints of the teal, and then again coming back and making our waves, make our waves happen with this blue. Pop, 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 pop. And guys, methinks I did my first picture on on cam. Uh, what do you think? All right. I still have to put the acrylic on it. I do see a spot I'm going to touch up on, and I might as well touch up on it on cam. So no tomfoolery and like, hey, that's not the picture you end it with. So I do see this green is gonna drive me crazy. So we're going to repaint it a little more, reinforce it. It might have to turn into like a mountain behind the mountain, because I can't, I don't like an unfinished. It looks unfinished to me. So maybe we're gonna turn that into a mountain, another mountain standing behind there somewhere or something. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't like the way it's looking. But boom, there you go, guys. That is, I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna move the camera. I did this on my phone, guys. I'm sitting outside. There we go, mountain picture. I hope you like it. Have a great day.